When we look down in here and get the injectors out, we can see the injector cups. So we can see that they're still bright and shiny. A lot of times when you don't have it sealing, it'll be dark where the carbon comes up past. The tips of the injectors were very clean, no carbon. The bodies of the injectors were still shiny like they were brand new. If you get carbon packing in there, it just kind of turns them brown or black.
The key to injectors is when they inject the fuel into the combustion chamber, that's atomized. The more it's atomized, the more power you're going to get, the less smoke you're going to get because it burns more complete. So the trick is there's like 6 little ports at the end of this injector. What I do is I just kind of look and see if there's any carbon forming, because this is right in the combustion chamber that's plugging these holes. From just the naked eye, I don't really see anything here. So what we're going to do from here is package these up. I'm going to send them back to the lab where we'll actually disassemble them, and we'll look at the needle in the bore. We'll look for any kind of scoring, and then we'll look for any kind of carbon that's built up inside the end of the injector. We've gotten a part here. You can see the parts, but this is one of the more critical areas that we want to look at. And so I'm going to pull this apart here, the nozzle and the needle. As you can see, the shiny part on the needle is where the tolerances are very, very tight. And any kind of deposit could affect how this goes in and out of this bore. And it makes it jumpy, which is going to affect your fuel delivery. So that's one of the first things I look at. The second thing is the nozzle and the delivery holes. There's 6 holes in the end of this injector nozzle. And how this fuel comes out of here is key for how it burns in the engine. The darkness on the end of this is just from the heat, because this whole end of this injector is in the combustion chamber, so it sees the high temperatures when the engine's running. So I wanted to show you one that's out of a different little style of injector, one that's not as clean and doesn't actually have as many miles on it either. But you can see the carbon on this needle, and that's what we don't want to see.
There's no carbon buildup on your spray pattern there. You'll see where each fuel spray out of the tip of the injector is. No carbon.
So the spray pattern kind of shows me that the Dieselex Gold that I'm using is working.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Very clean.
Yeah.
1,000,000 miles on this engine, there is no carbon buildup at all. On the sides, none. And the spray pattern, none. Most of the time, the spray pattern, you'll always have a carbon buildup. If you had to take it apart at 100,000, you might see this. But when you're overhauling one at 400, 500, 600,000, you will see carbon buildup. When we push these pistons out, you get a line of carbon up here where the piston doesn't run. It never makes it that high. Usually that's a pretty big buildup. That goes from the fuel and the oil that he's using to not have the buildup. When we push these out, I was able to just push them right out with my hand and right up out the top. Usually you have to clean that edge out before you push it out. If you look, your rings are loose. Most of the time on high mileage engines, carbon packed. The rings will stick in there. They'll just be, there'll be no movement.
Yeah.
Well, this tells you that there's very little carbon buildup. You can see it's just a light layer of carbon, which is common. You're gonna have that with burnt fuel, but to have loose rings like that tells you.
You're telling me it's burning the fuel right. The fuel's clean and it's burning right.
And you're not getting any oil up past them.
Gotcha.
A lot of times when you pull the heads off, you get to see the top of the pistons. You get to see the bottom of the head. You're expecting to see carbon buildup with this many miles. You're expecting to see the spray pattern build up on the pistons or the carbon packing or the polishing of the liners. In this engine we saw none, no carbon buildup, very little polishing. Goes to show maintenance and products is what's going to keep your engine running a long life. Instead of being shiny here, there would be a dull area. That'd be where it's not sealing, or even a black area where it's leaking. The other thing you want to look at is the tops of them are very clean. No carbon buildup at all. I mean, see these? You can read the part number on there. You never can read the part number. So with this being in the truck for 1,000,000 miles, that's very surprising to see. They don't make part numbers on parts so that you can see them, you know, 500,000 miles down the road. It's mainly for when you buy the part, but if you can still see it on a part that gets, you know, thousands of degrees inside of a cylinder, that says something, because you can still see where it's even, the valve has been machined. You can still see the machine marks. With running bad fuel, burning oil, anything like that, it's gonna fill all those little lines, and you would have to take that over to the wire wheel and grind it off to get to anything. You'll see a little bit of caking on all, but a lot of times it will be packed from where it seats. That'll just be a big glob of it. And then here it's gonna stop because it's going through its guides. We did also measure the valve guides and the stems, and they're all within tolerance. No wear. If you had wear, then you'd have a leak, oil leaks. And then also on the top of the valves, they are very clean, and that goes for burning the fuel completely and burning a good fuel.
So running the quality oil that we run, the Suprex Gold ESP and the Dieselex Gold for the fuel line, is a good combination to get us to where we are today on not seeing much wear, not a lot of carbon. That's what I wanted to see in this, so I can keep using them quality products and go forward with less downtime and less maintenance.
A close inside look at an engine. Its injectors, its piston tops, combustion chambers, and valves reveal the advantages of our total fuel system protection. The 8 components found in Dieselex Gold and the excellent fuel quality management of our FS system combine to ensure engines operate stronger, more efficiently, cleaner, and more economically. In this 1,000,000-mile powerhouse, fueled exclusively with Dieselex Gold, all parts have been protected and kept clean to allow it to deliver the same power and performance at 1,000,000 miles as it did when new. Dieselex Gold. Power, efficiency, protection.